Yeah, all I
And
can
then,
say for
and then
sure
Billy
is
gets
whoever
points
ends
on
up
top of
lifting that trophy, the 99 SC trophy cup, whatever, will be one lucky duck.
that. Yep.
One lucky square.
Shall we begin?
Yeah. We'll see how it goes.
Hello, YouTube watchers. It's your boy, Bobbledink here, with episode 2 of Triangle to Talk. And I thought, because I've noticed all four of us...
Can we just do a redo? I haven't actually pressed the button yet, so...
Sake. We're getting the banter going. We're getting the banter going.
We were getting the banter going. That's right.
I've been recording for 2.5 minutes.
We got the bloopers already, so...
Yeah.
All right, we can put that in there, you know.
Yeah, at the end.
Right. What was it? Sharpay and Ryan.
Oh god, High School Musical, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Hello, YouTube watchers. It is your boy, Bobbledink, here today with Triangle to Talk, episode 2. So I thought it would be fun because I've noticed all of us in this call today are all in different time zones. So I thought it would be nice to start it maybe a bit like an AA meeting, like say your name, your time zone, and what time it is for you currently. So...
Bobbledink from Britain.
Mr. Bobbledink, this is a Girl Scout meeting.
I will start. I am Bobbledink. No, okay. I am Bobbledink.
Hi, Bobbledink.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Bobbledink.
This is going well. I am in the British time zone. I am a UK citizen, and it is currently 20 past 1 p.m. Juice.
Oh, hello. Hey, Yahoo, minasan, Giant and welcome to, Triangle Charge, and Triangle to Charge. Triangle to Talk.
You're getting the logos confused again.
Yeah, that's right. I make them, but I get confused, man. But yeah, Giant Dio, I'm from Japan. Well, not from Japan, I'm in Japan right now. And it is currently 21:21.
My name is... Nice one.
Oh.
Kiwi.
Hello, I'm Kiwi, and this is awkward as shit, and it is 20 past midnight, and I'm drinking a Gatorade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That
last
time's
but
not too bad.
Yep.
And I'm the only one too poor at the moment to have a webcam. But
What do you mean? Your
Peter
hair looks
64
lovely, and that Darth Vader
I
suit,
know.
man. Mwah.
Oh yeah, or either that suit or whatever else picture decided to.
Yeah, this
to
could
go
age
up
poorly, by the way. But
in the
anyway, go
meantime.
on.
It could change like 6 times during this call. But anyway, Peter 6453 Central Standard Time in the United States, and it is too damn early. It's 7:20 in the morning.
Nice.
But thank you all so much for having me here this early here on Triangle to Talk.
It's a pleasure to have you, man.
Yeah. I did have everyone here.
Yeah.
thanks.
In fact, you were.
I think you.
Go on.
I either commented on the video, Rodri, or I was talking to you about how cool the podcast was when I was watching it. I'm not too sure. I think we were messaging about something, and I was like,
I think it was post round 2 race. Spoilers, by the way. You know, I mean, I know we're here talking about the semi-final, but man, round 2, yeah. When I found out that I was racing you, Skater, like I just leapt for joy. I was like, yes, absolute legend. And what a fun race it was as well. Twisted Metal.
I agree. Round 2 was very fun.
That was an interesting race.
Yeah. So we're gonna start this podcast, this episode, seamless segue. There we go. Into some of our favourite moments of the tournament thus far. I know we touched on this last time, but obviously Juninjuice and Skater, you weren't here with us last time, so floor is yours, guys.
Okay. Ninjas, you want to go first or me?
Sure, why not? Oh, talking about thoughts on the tournament. So far it's been real fun. Like ever since starting the tournament and stuff. Racing all people I consider my best friends overall over in the world. It's been nice to have like a lot of good discussions and showing long games, and even though that I've been accepted regardless of not being a very big person in the like a big name in the speedrunning community, and I'm not really one for glitching games, but people have been very accommodating for my lack of desire to, skip or do proxies or like do glitches or whatever. And it's been really cool. And yeah, I like showing like a lots of games that I also played as a kid, like Spyro 2 or even Kingsley's Adventure in round 2.
That was a very good race, actually.
Yeah,
and I think you made a Kingsley fan out of Fanta as well, which is really wild.
Yeah. The thing is that what I notice is that when I get into like the racing seat, I tend to make lots of silly mistakes.
Oh, you're not the only.
Yeah, so many
We've all
stupid
been there.
mistakes I've
Yeah.
made during this tournament, and
We've all been there, and we're all gonna keep going there. It's like
yeah,
no
Oh,
matter
yeah.
how much you do it, it's gonna always happen.
I think, to be honest,
Yeah.
anytime we need an example of that, like my race with Kiwi will be like the blueprint of that now. Like anytime someone's like, "Oh, has that ever happened for you?" Just we're gonna asterisk that video, put it in descriptions, be like, "Watch that to know what that's like." So it's definitely
Yeah.
happened.
If you want a recent example, watch me and Garen's race for another tournament that just happened, and me missed things like 10 times in a row during that run that ended up costing me the race too. So it happens.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely happens.
I mean,
pretty much.
Go on, sorry.
Yeah, pretty much every race I've been in, I've made like a mistake of some kind.
And yet you're in the
first it's like,
semi-finals, so
yeah, by some miracle, have no idea why
you're
or,
not a
or how.
speedrunner. I don't think you'd ever won a race before this tournament, and now you've made it all the way to the semis.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
funny how that happened.
I know.
that's badass. That's good.
Yeah. I
Man,
think
it's
go on, sorry.
you're already on a good fast track there. It's taken like me and some other people like a while to even get out of round one stuff for tournaments.
All right, okay.
So I think
Like,
that's
I guess it just depends. I guess I just got lucky with like either the games or the goals, and I was able to somehow get it done a lot faster than my competitor somehow. But yeah, I just feel like I've probably just
2,
been
for
lucky,
example.
honestly.
Like, yeah, I was very slow on that one.
Yeah, to be honest, I did practice quite like a bit the night before that, and I felt like that's what everybody was doing. Like we're practicing, we're trying to do our utmost best to come to first place or something. Try and make it as competitive as possible. I felt like that was going to be the main thing. But
Well, I mean, we
but
can't
no,
all
it's
be
been
there, man. At the end of the day, like
no. But yeah, it's
Yep.
just been really cool, like having this chill tournament. Like doesn't matter if you're good or bad. Just the most important thing in the day is that you're just having fun, which is what I live by anyway. So it's been really cool, and it's been nice showing off games like Proc 2 and Kingsley's Adventure. Been really cool.
yeah.
absolutely.
I feel like that's the thing that I believe like a lot of us have in common is the love for our community in that regard, and how it's not like some other like potentially like jaded speedrunning communities out there where everyone's skill level or view on chiches, you might say, like throwback there, is never viewed in a negative way or any kind of like superiority, like top runner going up against a new person, like, oh, I'm so much better, or any, no crazy egotistical like things like that. And very people are very willing to work with each other and a lot of the new people as well, to even just be able to get to a point where they feel comfortable and getting better uh, on on their side of races and runs and stuff like that.
No, absolutely.
Like they're just very, always been very accepting. Like that's what, ever since I don't even remember when I think I joined the first Spiral Speedruns Cup back in like 2018 or something like that.
That was
But
2019, I think.
or
That was like the
2019
second
was it?
tournament they ever did, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't realize you
Yeah.
went back so far either. That's like,
Well, I didn't
definitely
go.
predate
I didn't go as
us.
far back as the IAS days, but it was right after all that, I think.
You'd have to chat to Connor and Lucas about that, because
yeah, some the timing we'll have to figure that out. But like, yeah, like that was one of the first big like things that drew me in right away, was just everybody like we're just didn't just look at me as like another new person, like that, like, oh, like easy victories or any point of views like that. Like, no, they're like, oh, there's a new person, and hopefully like we can help them like get comfortable and get better quicker and do better in runs and stuff. And I believe my second ever race was against Laura, and we all know how crazy she's blown
she's
up over the
become a
past
bit of a
couple
legend recently. Yeah.
The Laura launch.
The Laura
and
launch.
we
She
were
doesn't
both
even
new at
use
the
that
same
anymore, ironically.
time.
She's grown beyond her own trick.
Wow.
Just kidding if you're
But
watching Laura.
that just shows like how we were both new at like in the community like fairly at the same time.
Yeah.
And just all the love and support and push she got, and now she's like she's the best in my opinion, but undoubtedly one of the best for sure.
She's such a great example of I guess how diverse the community really is, because I think before her, could be treading into politics here, so I've got to be careful. But it's the sense of sometimes in gaming communities you get like one kind of person. There were a lot of men in their sort of mid to late 20s, early 30s who are really dominating the speedrunning scene. And I think what's nice about Laura is not only is she just great to chat to, very talented and stuff like that. She's like young and just adding more diversity-ness to the scene. And it's actually been really nice watching some of the long-standing people in the community kind of accept her as one of the greats, one of the legends, and that's been really lovely to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And she's also like a perfect example of what I was talking about. She is like the opposite of some of those speedrunners you hear about that are very tendency to gatekeep a lot of their like skills and experience and stuff like that. No, she's a complete opposite of that. And like I said, that's most of the community in general, is just a giant open book to anybody that needs any kind of advice or help.
Yeah.
And because there are unfortunately a contrast out there of some people that just don't want to share anything that they know and just watch people struggle. And thankfully, that's never been our community.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what we are. We're a community. Like, yes, we do tournaments and races and stuff like that, but I think, and I hope our tournaments especially have like done a good job at capturing the fact that it is about having fun with your friends and enjoying just enjoying each other's company, but also enjoying the love of gaming and the love of racing and the love of just getting better generally. I feel
Amen. Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Nice. Let's see what else is on my notes. Danta left a very comprehensive list of things. So
We've got to
Sip-
stick to the schedule.
yeah,
We've been scripted by
Yes.
Vedanta Fancy.
well, he's
He's our
actually editing.
editor,
He
yeah.
could make us look
He
really
literally
bad
is.
right now. Literally, he could like clip a very awful thing. I could say something like Boobledink is overrated, and that'll be clipped to Twitter now, like just a loop of Bobbledink slandering Boobledink, and a big Twitter drama ensues, and Square to Charge implodes, and then we're all out of a job. Well, I say a job, but you know what I mean. Boobledink is overrated. Boobledink is overrated. Boobledink is overrated. Boobledink is overrated. Boobledink is overrated.
Circle to go back.
Everybody pick your
Circle
side
to go
now.
back. There we go. We found Circle. There,
Circle to go
there,
back. Yeah.
there's our
It'll be
there's
a
our level 3.
retrospective series covering past tournaments.
Exactly.
Highlights video.
It's only a matter of time before we find the name for absolutely every single button on the controller.
Yeah. Oh, and then my
R1 to roll.
R2 for yeah.
R2 to go sideways. Like, all of the R's to snap back if you're aficionado of Spyro 2 or actually no, I think it's only R1 and R2. The camera snaps back behind Spyro, and then boom, you can actually see where you're going. And I was so pissed off when that did not come back and reignited, and I was like, how dare you? I don't care about the roll mechanic, but snapping back the camera, that's...
I was going to say, but aren't you glad they re-added the roll?
I mean, to be fair, the roll is cool, I hoped it was just cartoon.
It is kind of useless.
Yeah. I mean, the roll is very, very, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Redundant.
Yeah.
Especially in like Spyro, the game that it was actually originally came from, where the only use for it that I ever had in like the original was for the dogs in Toasty. Well, in the reignited, the dogs home in on Spyro, so it's useless.
I'm gonna
I'd never used the roll.
I'm gonna do the sacrilegious, right? And I'm gonna throw a bone to Spyro 3 Reignited. Because
oh god,
Spyro 3, right, is my favorite video game of all time, and I'll never forget. It's like, what is it? The meme, never forget. I'll never forgive how they butchered the Spyro 3 remake. But one thing I did appreciate was in Charmed Ridge. So in the original game, good luck putting this all in, Dancer. By the way, add some music and effects. It'll look alright.
You can find footage of Charmed Ridge now.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I did it. There you go, Dancer, trying to cancel me. So in the original Charmed Ridge, you have like those Rhinox with the bow and arrows, and they shoot. In the original game, you can just time your jumps to go over it, and then charge into them, square to charge into them, circle to flame into them. Tying in the brand, that sort of thing. But in the remake, the bows travel with your jumps and they home in, and the only way to really dodge them is to roll sideways. So they actually created a use for the roll in that instance. So for all the things that game got wrong, like I'll give it that they created a semi-use for it. But I don't know if
Also,
Spyro 4. Whenever comes along, if they could find a more useful thing for it than just dodge homing missiles, like
Spyro 4 is
maybe like if there's like a little gap on like at the wall, like a little rectangle thing.
Oh, like a narrow alley.
Like
just like a hole in the wall, kind of like Medieval 2 sort of thing.
Oh yeah,
with the
like
hand,
or like a World War II trench, if you want to get very historical.
Yeah, especially like if you come across a wall, and at the bottom of the wall it had like a rectangle shape cut out of it, and so the only way to get through it is to roll sideways, and the player would have to think, "Oh, what can I do to get through this?" And it's actually just something you had all along.
Yeah. Speaking of getting through things, how about those semi-finals?
Oh,
Had to find a way to time.
What a seamless transition!
I know. a bit like the roll mechanic, it had its use. So I'm not in the semi-finals. Have at it, guys.
Which is odd. Can I just point that out? That feels really odd that you were not in the semi-finals.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I was just sitting there thinking, it doesn't feel right. I don't know why,
No.
but it doesn't feel right.
I felt like
This is how
It's Skater's
absent-minded
fault.
I can be at times. I was gonna say this is how absent-minded I could be at times. I was literally about to ask, "Why are you not in the semifinals?"
Yeah.
And thankfully, it took like 5 seconds to think before I opened my mouth. I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's because of you."
Oh yeah, that's right.
Janinjuice.
Yeah.
Janinjuice even got it wrong in the final video. He thought, he didn't think Skater was in the triple charge. He thought it was. Oh wait, no, you didn't think Kiwi was in the triple charge. You thought I was.
No,
Which is
I
even
thought,
more ironic because Kiwi defeated me in round one. So.
because like yeah,
thinks I should have won.
my thinking was that Kiwi had won all the races in his round one, and
Right, yeah.
he just suddenly went straight into that more or less. He went into the semi-finals, and I presumed because I hadn't watched the video, but I saw the game was like Toy Story 2, and given like his performance during his race with me, that I felt like he'll be like probably the winner. I just immediately had that thought in my mind.
Oh.
But so I thought then he was straight through, and then I forgot about. I think I just forgot about the Skater versus Bobbleding race that happened. But I felt like, actually no, that wasn't it. It was actually that I remembered that you lost that one against Skater, but I thought that loss turned into you being in the semi-final triple charge for some reason.
Oh right, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, like
I lost
probably
in round
just like
2, but hey, I'm back. Yeah. No. I actually remember a
We've
similar.
had a surprise person quit out, and Bobbledink's been reinstated.
Yeah, justice
Yeah,
for
Bobbledink's
Bobbledink.
been
There we go.
uncancelled.
Yeah, well, there we go.
But yeah,
Proletariat rise up.
before realizing that, oh yeah, you're not in the semi-finals. Sadly, I just felt like you would be like in terms of like all the races I've seen, especially with specifically with you and them, Rodri. I felt like holding. I just felt like you were like one of the people who had the most potential to be in like a final round of this tournament because especially like your race against me and stuff and races against other people. You were actually pretty close to your competitor, and occasionally you won. Occasionally you won. You were that step above me in that first round, so I immediately assumed that you would be in that final round.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, I thought it was fair that when I raced you, that I allowed us to do a game that you're more familiar with than me, because I think the past 2 times we raced, for different channels admittedly, but the past 2 times they were games that I was more familiar and comfortable with. So I thought it was like about time I returned that favour.
To be honest though, like I feel like we are more or less have the same level of experience in terms of like Crash Bash and like Spyro, but in terms of like speedrunning them, I probably have less experience though. But
possibly.
Yeah. I very much agree with Bobbledink being a very like pretty much like safe guarantee to be involved in like late rounds of tournaments. Like if it wasn't for me coming in and messing it all up because my computer refusing to run what was it? The Digging Gym? What was it called?
Oh, Digging Gym. Yes.
Digging Gym?
Justice for Digging Gym. Oh, it was a legendary game that was to debut in this tournament, but was not to be. but may well come back as a supercharged race or something.
My computer came along and my computer threw a monkey wrench in the whole thing. But no, but I still very much appreciate how not just how our Twisted Metal 4 race went down, but also just how it came about and everything. And
oh, absolutely.
just like throughout this whole tournament, everyone's been so great with me proposing a lot of these newer games that people haven't heard before, and to get to play and run through, and it's been a blast. And I'm so happy that everybody's been down to do them, and that I got to do them.
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and say
you're not
right
out
here,
yet either.
And I'm not out either. Yeah, there's still a triple charge to go. But I'll go ahead and also say this right now, as a on record IOU. Next time me and Rodri face off, I owe you whatever game you want for letting me have the Twisted Metal 4 this time, and fortunately getting you out of the semifinals.
Yeah, well, so, no worries, honestly. I wasn't too downtrodden about losing because, it was just fun to try a new game. And honestly, just the chance to race you was reward enough in my book, I'm happy for someone else to lift that 1999 trophy.
That was it was great for another opportunity to get to race you for me as well. But I just feel like I owe a lot of people a lot of IOUs for a lot of the games that I've been proposing to run during this tournament. Like I still feel like I owe Gary and
so
stuff
little
like
time.
That, so yeah. But although he ended up enjoying the Resident Evil 3 game a lot, so I don't like. Well, you enjoyed Twisted Metal 4 also as well. Absolutely. So thankfully, I haven't proposed like any like stinkers or anything that I really feel bad about.
Yeah, I mean, even if it is a stinker, it's probably more entertaining to watch that, Elmo's number journey.
Those can be just those can be just as entertaining as well when things go wrong versus when they go right. Yeah.
Yeah. How about yourself, Kiwi? Because you got to the semi-finals in a different way to the other two. So how did you feel about missing an entire round and kind of, coming back as your first race in a while? How did that feel?
Yeah, so structurally, it felt a bit weird, to be honest, when I had that confirmation from Connor to go, oh, well, you've won all your heat stage matches, because I won the match with you, that was the Pokemon Yellow, one match with Joseph, that was Toy Story 2, and then with Dancer, it was Ape Escape, and I'm missing another one off the top of my head. What was it?
Oh, wait, Midnight,
yeah, with the Spyro 2, yeah. I
was going to say, you said Gin-Induce, why am I pointing?
Yeah. No, I've already done Gin-Induce now, because I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, and to be honest, looking back on them in terms of like memorability to me, like obviously the Pokemon one to me has a massive amount of memorability to me because we had such a good back and forth in that match.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, there was a point there where I'm sitting there like, nah, I'm done. I ain't winning this one. And then the one I had with Joseph
and then,
as
lo
well.
And behold,
that
victory one just came out of nowhere. A bit like that.
Yeah. What do you mean? Who? What do you mean?
The one I had with Joseph, the Toy Story 2 match, that was memorable because, well, we had to do it twice. And then Dancer with Ape Escape, because Ape Escape's not a game I ever grew up playing. Whereas, I'm forgetting the one with Hannah because, to be honest, I play Spyro.
Oh,
so
that was Spyro
often.
2. That's another one you had to do twice.
Yes, it was actually. That's what. Now I'm not remembering it. Twice. That's weird, isn't it? I've had to do that twice, but I can't remember it.
I'll forever remember it as the square to charge race because Hannah just was not squaring to charge. And that's the name of this channel, Hannah.
You were telling her square to charge. Yeah, and then Lucas was telling her the same thing when we did the redo. And to be fair to her, she got a lot further in that race than she did in the first one.
Yeah.
I think she spent most of her time getting locked up in, oh, God, what's it called? The first Speedway, Ocean Speedway.
Oh, yeah.
With that horrible tunnel as you come out, and you have to do that sort of like nosedive into the tunnel.
I've been there. I remember actually in my first ever tournament, Spyro Speedruns Cup 2021, I lost to Dan Davidson, legend by the way, but I kept trying to do that tunnel and it took me about 4 or 5 goes at it, and
Oh,
I think the goal was to like complete Bone Dance in what do you call it?
Skelos, Badlands.
Skelos. Yeah, that's it. Sorry, I was thinking Winter Tundra levels. But yeah, I think he basically defeated the goal while I was still stuck on that speedway, because I think it was
Oh wow.
do 2 speedways and then get the Bone Dance. So basically, the point is, I know that feeling of I just can't get it.
And I think it was a similar situation here as well, because I think she only had just finished Ocean Speedway by the time I'd finished not Metro Speedway, Metropolis, by finishing the supercharged Superflight on that one. But yeah, so going back to the main point of the question, to me it was kind of alien, having done all those 4 races in a pretty close window of time, to then be told, right, well, actually, because you've won all the group stage, like you haven't lost at all, you're just gonna have to sit there and wait for the 3rd round, essentially. So I'm sitting there just twiddling my thumbs for round 2, just like, well, this is a bit weird. And I suppose in that context, I would have liked to have had a match in round 2, just to keep me sort of fresh and going. But as a result, I haven't really been primed then for round 3, for the semi-finals. Which of course led to interesting conversations.
It's often the trade-off, isn't it? Like, you have that free pass, but you lose a bit of that momentum.
Yeah, and that's what I felt like I had, was that good amount of momentum from those 4 race wins that I'd have liked to have carried over then had we gone straight into the semis. But because we had that gap where, it was you versus Skater, and I think, Joseph, you were against Fisher, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And remind me again, you beat Fisher, didn't you?
Yes, I won that race.
Yeah,
quite comfortably as well.
That one was a surprising upset to me, because I was thinking to myself, it's going to probably be a really close race here, and I'm thinking, nah, Fisher might just take this one. I don't know. And the fact you beat Fisher, I was like, wow, okay, yeah, nah, he's doing good. He beat Fisher, because what was it you raced him in?
Highlight to me as well.
I raced him in.
Those up there.
Yeah,
Studio Tour, right?
Yeah, it was Studio Tour.
Which is a game that I didn't even know existed, to be honest with you.
I think he got very unlucky because there was that glitch he encountered.
Yes, he had keeping with tradition with this tournament, we had to do it twice a little bit. The first time he actually, the first time he had like some sort of like problem where he completed the mission and the game just froze. It just would not move. So I said, okay, let's just start again. We're not very far, so let's just redo. And then the next time, he actually got a glitch where he, I think if I remember correctly, it was something to do with like if you get hit by an enemy as you are about to collect a coin, that the coin becomes unobtainable. But in that case, he used one of those safety save states to get out of that jam. So it didn't really cost him too much time, thankfully. Like in the beginning of that race, I was like going ahead, but like when it came into like Treasure Hunt Part 2, we were actually quite neck and neck at that point. And that was pretty cool to see that Fisher was able to catch up with me at that point. It was just a bit of not bit of unluck, not being able to find the treasure chest, which I have found out that in the game, like depending on like how many times or something that you've done it, or like when you start the mission, it randomly has a chest placement decided. So every time you do that game, some of the chests are in different places.
Oh.
So it's kind of like a luck of the draw, really. How lucky you be able to get close to a chest or even find one. But I had also my equal amount of unluckiness. Like I kept dying quite a few times, and there was actually a point where a chest was actually moved from where I would usually know where it is. so I had to go find that. But yeah, we had a fair bit of unluck, bad luck, and but you know, it came to the point where after we did the treasure hunt ones, is that which one do we go for now to get more keys? And he went into like the Chucky space section. I went into like the racing one.
Yeah.
And both of them took quite a long time, but it was just a matter of fact that maybe I collected more reptile bars to get more keys that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, the results were like 8-6. So I just felt like I was just considered myself lucky, and I was actually surprised that I won that one.
Mm.
Yeah,
as I say, oh no, go on.
I was just gonna say those are always the pleasant races, though. When
when you win when you're not expecting it, sort of thing.
Yeah, like sometimes
Yeah.
sometimes those feel even more better than the ones that you overly prepare for, like really wanting to win. The ones that kind of like catch you off guard like that, like, oh, I won, can actually like even be better in that regard.
That was me when I raced Kiwi the first time.
I think for me that was Ape Escape with Dancer, because with the Pokemon Yellow, I've played Pokemon Yellow a lot over the years, and which is why it ended up being actually in that sort of the same sense a pleasant sort of race, because there was that back and forth, and I didn't, towards the end of it, I was thinking to myself, I ain't winning this, which is what I suppose does lend into that. But with Dancer, because I'd never played Ape Escape except for a demo that I did. So I did a stream on Twitch about a year ago, almost 2 years ago, actually, I think now, I can't remember. It was those, I don't know if you guys are familiar, there was some McDonald's like PS1 demo discs that they did back in, I think it was like 2002 with like the big, I don't know what it was called, like the big bag meals, I think. Yeah. And one of those discs has Ape Escape on it. And I played that for all of 5 minutes. I remember somebody, one of my regulars, a guy from Canada, he said to me, he said, "Oh, I grew up playing Ape Escape. You should play Ape Escape sometime." And I'm like, yeah. I'll play it one day. I'm sure I'll play it someday. Neither, did I think that I'd be sitting there probably about a year or so later going, right, I'm playing Ape Escape now for the first bloody time, and it's part of a tournament.
Brilliant.
Yeah, as I say, never played it.
Welcome to Ape Escape.
Welcome to Ape Escape. And all I remembered from playing Ape Escape for that demo was like the tutorial and I think the first 2 levels, I think at most. I remember the primordial swamp or whatever it's called. Like, I think it's like level 1 that's technically not a tutorial. I remember that one, and then past that I couldn't tell you the rest. But yeah, so no, it was a pleasant one to claw back that win. And then, yeah, as I say, but the going back to what we were saying before, because of you guys having that little, match in between, because you guys went into round 2 and actually had a match in round 2, and I didn't, as we were saying before, it's that whole momentum thing, and naturally not wanting to have sat there, because I know we were a little bit practicing kind of, not wanting to go off
to
and
be
practice
for some, necessary for others, like
Yeah, well, as I say, because I didn't know what the actual grounds were for practicing, so I was like, no, I won't do it. And it's Toy Story 2. I've grown up playing that game, and I wasn't expecting. Oh yeah, I'll beat Lucas. I played this game all my bloody life. I'm just like, should be good fun. I think the race from because I'll be honest, I haven't watched it, and it's not a case that it's not the case that I've been busy, but it's also a case that not that I don't want to watch it, because I do. But it's just knowing how it went. I don't know if I could go back and look at that footage now, because
I feel the same way about the end of our Pokemon Yellow race. It's very much that of like, I can watch the first half fine, but then the second half you do get that second-hand embarrassment of, I should have done this.
That's the thing, though. You can watch most of that because it didn't happen till right up towards the end, though, did it?
Very true.
The thing with this was, because we did it in all the levels, because it was, from Andy's house all the way to the final showdown, because I messed up in alleys and gullies, which is what, level 5, So that's like 2/3 of the rest of the video that I'd be sat there going, shit, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. And to be honest, it was, in my perspective, because I was thinking about it after the race. I was thinking, what did I do wrong there? And there was actually, I said two. There was three things that I realized that I messed up. The first one being, and the first two are both alleys and gullies, which, to be honest, doesn't surprise me. It's a level I've always bloody hated, even when I was a kid. Absolutely hated alleys and gullies.
Yeah.
The first thing I messed up was that Lucas later told me, he's like, "Did you not know that you could jump on the lamppost?" I said, "What bloody lamppost?" He's like, "You can jump on the lamppost." And I went back and I did watch part that up that far, and I saw him do the lamppost jump, and I went, shit, that's how he went. That's how he got ahead of me, because I was ahead of him leaving construction yard, and I was thinking, because I remember at the time, because I could hear him playing it, and I could hear. I think it was you, Skater. Was it you on commentary that day?
Yeah, I think I was chilling there. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were saying about how close it was, and I was thinking, because I could hear him saying, "Oh,
Yeah.
I got to find the discs for the jackhammer boss," and I'm like, "Well, I'd already beaten the jackhammer," so I was like, "Right, okay, I'm a little bit ahead of him, right? So I need to put some distance between us."
Yeah.
And
I remember
when I
now.
went and watched the footage, when I saw him do that lamppost jump, I thought, shit, I've never seen that. I was thinking to myself, I've played Toy Story 2 for 20 plus years, pretty much all my entire life. And I've never known that was a thing. So that was my first mistake. My second mistake was, I remember I was watching when I was ziplining across, and you've got those electric cables you're supposed to zipline. Now, for some reason, I don't know if it was just trigger finger, but I jumped a bit early, and I went and latched onto one of them, and I hadn't realized at the time, because they go in sequence, like one goes after the other, so it's like boom, 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 boom. I don't think I'd seen what the sequence was at that time. So, because I thought I was on the one that had already been, but it turns out I was on the one that was already about to come on just as I was zipping down. Now, normally, I'd jump over to compensate for that, as you normally would, but because I hadn't worked it out, instead I get zapped and I fall all the way to the bottom, and I think to myself, yeah, I can recover. I'm sure Lucas, he's not too far ahead of me. And then I think at that point, because he had that lamppost jump, I think he'd put a much bit of a distance between us, because I think by the time I'd fallen, I think he'd either just started or he'd taken about 50% of the health off the clown top boss. So by which point, by the time I climb up to the top, he's already on slime time, and I think he's just about to finish slime time by the time I finish the clown top. So I remember leaving alleys and gullies, and I'm hearing him going, "Yeah, I'm just on that bloody dinosaur boss," and I'm just like, "Shit, he's already in Al's Toy Barn." I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
Yeah, I believe he was.
I was shaking by that.
It
I
really
believe it was
is
just
like
starting the clown boss when you fell, and that's what made it so painful, because you were
Yeah,
the whole time you all were literally going like back and forth.
back and forth. It would have been such a good thing if we kept
really
it all the way up.
is.
Yeah.
And then that fall, and it's just like, oh fuck.
But I'll tell you the third thing that I worked out, looking back on that footage and realizing was, because this was not me watching the YouTube video, this is watching my own footage and realizing it, was when we got to elevator hop. By the time that I'd got up to the lift switches, now I've always been shit with the whole color paddle thing that you're supposed to. I managed to work that out in a decent amount of time. I thought that was fine. And then by the time you start climbing the elevators, now you've got one side that's the Spider Gun Road boss, and you've got one side that's the Father Mouse, where you've got to go down the slide and chase after the Pizza Planet token at the bottom without falling through any of the holes. Now, I climbed up to the top of the lift, and I ended up on the bloody side with the mouse. And I'm like, shit, I'm already far behind Lucas as it is now, and I'm on the wrong bloody side, so I had to fall back down and then go to the other side, and then I've just beaten Spider Gunrow, and I think he just left Al's apartment by that point, Al's penthouse, and I think he was just on the Zerg boss. And I'm thinking, right, well, I can slowly catch up to him. And I think in the end, as I say, because I haven't watched the video, I think by the time I had just left, what's it called? Level 13. Airport terminal. I can't remember what the name is now.
Yeah, terminal before the actual
I don't really know the
Yeah,
game,
before
but I've
the
seen
run-
the film, so I know where you're talking
Yeah,
about.
before the
Before
runway
the
level.
circle, before the circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, before the circular runway, the world's worst
Circle to
runway.
runway, anyone? No.
Circle to runway, yeah. Circle to traffic.
It's like those people that tie lawnmowers around poles so to mow the grass on the
Mm.
Oh, to
lawnmower.
make it look like they're looking.
That's
Yeah,
very.
yeah,
That's a
yeah,
very
yeah.
long title.
Instead
Mm.
do that
Circle
with
to
the
circulate.
plane.
Yeah.
Circulating
So we tarmac trouble. That's level 14. So it must be airport terminal. I think is 13. Anyway, long story short, I left level 13, and Lucas was already on final showdown, and I'm sitting there like, oh, there's no way I can pull that back at all. And no, it's just because I think I just left 13, and he just entering 14, and he just finished up, and I was like, well, I've recovered enough to the point that it's only one level down. I still had to go and beat the blacksmith on tarmac trouble, and then to go off and do the final showdown with all three: the gunslinger, the blacksmith, and Pete. Which I watched the footage back before I gave it to Lucas, and I thought to myself, shit, I managed to kill the I think it was the blacksmith and the Pete, because you're supposed to do a the wing slap on them, the wing spin. And I think I had them so close into each other, I just kept hitting them with the wings both at the same time. And I was like, shit, if I had been in here with Lucas and done that, that would have been such a narrow finish.
Yeah,
But no.
I think you actually took those two down quicker than he
It
did.
really is an indictment of, I think, how punishing this sort of thing can be. Because I
Hmm.
wouldn't even say you played badly, but I think it's
No.
just
Oh, not at all.
one
Not at all.
mistake happens, it kind of throws you off your focus a little bit. And then you
Yeah.
become so desperate to catch up that you start making other blunders that you wouldn't make if you were playing normally. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always
absolutely.
find for me, whenever I watch back my races, there's such a gap between the way I play if I'm just playing casually on my own to the way I do when I'm
Oh,
racing others. And there's kind of that internal
for
frustration
sure.
of like, I swear I'm good at these games, but these people are just better than me, It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just
Sitting
what
here like, yeah, I played Toy Story 2 all my life. I can't believe I got beat, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I mean, to be
exactly.
fair, my partner, she said the exact same thing to me the first time when we did it with me and Joseph did it. She's like, how the bloody hell did you lose? She's like, you played that game since you were like 3 or 4. What's wrong with you? I said,
Oh, yeah.
dodgy controller,
It's
mate.
these-
And then I made her sit down and actually have a go with the controller. She's like, shit, how did you play with that? Let alone get 9 bloody tokens.
It is. I mean, no one talks about this, but it is the embarrassment of facing your friends and family who have watched you play,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, I would have thought you'd have been great." Like my older brothers, for example, thought that I'd be a natural pro at speedrunning Spyro just because of like the amount I play it and the amount I know
Yeah.
about it and stuff. And
Yeah.
it just turns out not really. I'm just kind of a guy who sort of knows a lot about this very specific game. And that
Yeah.
speed running it really is, like, pardon the pun, but a different game entirely. Like,
Yeah.
Just because
Like
there's all the factors
go on.
that go along with it, like
Hmm.
all the factors that go along with it, like you don't account for is like when you're just playing by yourself, like pressure and all that stuff, and of course nerves,
Yeah.
and that's a lot of the things you got to keep in mind when you're going back looking on your past runs and stuff.
Mm.
Hindsight very much is 2020. So
Yeah.
I was thinking about
can't be too hard on yourselves when you watch your
Not
own
gonna lie
videos
though.
and be like, why did I make these stupid mistakes? Well, yeah, it's
Hmm.
easy to look back and think that now, but when you're in that moment at the time,
Mm.
freaking out, trying to think like 5 steps ahead of the person you're racing, it's very easy to make those kind of mistakes versus when you're calm just watching the video
Yeah.
after the
It's
fact.
like, yeah, not gonna lie though. Every single, pretty much every single race that I've been in, just before we hit record, my heart was like racing. It was
Oh,
like doing
I-
a speed run all on its
I
own.
think
No
I
pun
think all of
intended.
us probably have a heart
I've
racing.
lost
Yeah.
track
Yeah.
of I've lost track of runs where I swear my heart rate's gone to
Mm.
like 150.
But yeah, the kind of heart race where, like, you have to go, like, for example, you have to go to the doctor for something and you know it's going to be painful, kind of like
Yeah,
that kind of heart
like,
racing sort of
yeah, try
pressure.
and calm yourself down, like
Yeah.
I don't
And
that was like
hmm.
I don't remember, that was some kind of like running joke in some race. So it wasn't It was some race and Lucas was there commentating. I think it was some Spiral 1 race we were doing. I don't know. I'd have to dig into the archive somewhere and find it. But to figure out what race it was. But
Or make Dante do it.
Lucas
He's
made,
editing.
yeah, Dante, there's your homework assignment for you. Figure out which race I'm talking about. I think it's from
Figure out
my
the race, Enchanted Ridge.
I think
Yeah.
it's from ISTP, but I don't remember. But somewhere along that I was super nervous about that race, and I made a comment during, I think when I was going to Magic Crafters or something like that. I'm like, Jesus, I keep this up. This is gonna turn into a race to just avoid going to the hospital from my freaking heart rate being sky high. And then Lucas made some kind of like joke, like, well, not a joke, but like a reference to a joke by like some comedian where he's like, "You're gonna be like this guy in real life." Like, oh, my heart just stopped.
Well,
Oh no, I'm good.
Tommy
That's-
Cooper
one
was
is
the one
referring
that
to,
springs
I
to
can't
mind
remember his
because he
name.
actually did. Anyway, yeah.
But yeah.
Look it up, guys. Tommy Cooper, pretty tragic, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
to I guess sort of follow the script. I don't know.
Hmm.
The only
The
other thing,
script?
yeah. What script?
What
like,
script?
you know.
What script?
We've been going
completely off
rogue for
script,
about
so, yeah.
35 minutes. But
Yeah, I think we've ignored that pretty good already at this point.
This is Triangle
yeah.
to Charge, by the way. Yeah.
Triangle to Charge, yeah, exactly.
Oh god, it's changed
Jinin
again.
Juice has just rewritten the entire canon. You know,
Mm.
I'm actually the Kiwi Dragon now. You know, which is good
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I want
absolutely.
that level
Welcome
of
to the
subscribe.
multiverse. This is Bobble Dink Down Under. Yeah.
Well, it's
Oh,
like
my God.
it's like wife swap but soul swap. You know, like you take my
YouTuber
life for a
swap.
couple of weeks, I take your life for a couple of weeks, and yeah, we learn,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
grow. Then our souls meet in the nether realm, and we discuss our experience, and then someone write that down, by the way.
We sit there in the nether realm and we just go, where the fuck are we?
Yeah. I mean, if
It's
anything,
Freaky Friday.
we could start branching out of races and creating short films or something, or entering film
Yeah.
festivals like Cannes and BFI and Rain Dance and any of them in your respective homelands. I don't know if they do film festivals anywhere in the world, but I don't know.
Read the vlog.
Shit, I'd be someone wants to like life swap with me so I can get the hell out of the valley for a couple weeks. I'd be more than down.
Yeah. How do you feel about?
I mean, I would. I haven't had a holiday in like 13 years, so
yeah. I mean,
Anywhere
of course
over there in the EU, I'd be fucking ecstatic to be for like even just a day because I've never been. So
in the EU or in Europe, because we're in Europe but not in the EU. Sorry to branch into politics again.
I forgot. You're right.
We should be in the EU, but we're not, and here we are. So
not anymore. Well,
blame Farage.
When did that even happen?
Exactly.
Like not that long ago, right? Like
it was like 7 years ago, and the past 7 years. Do you know what's funny is it was 7 years ago, and since then things have gotten progressively worse. I can't see any link.
Almost like there's something linked there,
Yeah,
it's hard looking, from someone who's from the same country, but doesn't live there anymore.
Yeah.
From the outside looking in, it's
got out
almost
at the right
like
time.
something's happened,
Yeah, something big that's basically shifted the entire fortunes of the UK for the foreseeable future, possibly forever. Who knows? But
something that's made me go, Christ, I'm glad I live here.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, I might share a bunk with you if things get any worse. To be honest, so look forward to that. Bobbledink and Kiwi, the vlog channel.
Hell, you never know. There's been talks of where I live of them wanting to succeed from the U.S. from here for a longest time too. So never know.
I have a double bed right here, Skater. So feel free to room with me for a while.
The day Texas succeeds, I'll just be like, no, okay, I'm out of here. I feel like I've been stuck in the U.S. long enough. Now Texas is completely by itself. No, thank you.
So we've
Texas by itself. That's a law unto itself. There.
Go and bunk with the bubble.
exactly.
Bunk with the bobble. That sounds
Yeah.
like a really interesting series.
Sounds like a good
Bunking
song,
with the bobble.
It's basically a vlog podcast series where we all show up to Rodri's house. So it's like bunk with bobble dink. You spend an evening there, you get on
Bunking
the
with the
piss, and you sleep on a
bobble,
bunk
drinking
bed.
with
Yeah.
the dink. There we go.
Like,
Drink with the dink.
this-
Hey, I
Welcome
like
to the UK. Hey.
like,
Just do
this-
your own podcast series.
in
right
my
there. Drink with the dick,
hometown
we all
alone,
get
there's
hammered.
around in my hometown alone, there's like 12 pubs in the square, so we could literally do a pub crawl, and we wouldn't even have to leave the street.
Oh Jesus!
Like, you know,
mm,
that's
I have like one
And,
pub
like-
on the road. That's
It'd be
it.
like when I did drinking around the world, and be like when I did drinking around the world in Florida, except
Yeah.
everything a lot closer.
I mean,
together
they're
and a
not
lot
all
more
nice pubs, but they're pubs, you know. But yeah.
See, the
Better
only
than the
pub I've
bars
got
down
near to
here,
me.
guarantee you. Better than the bars down here.
The only pub I've got near to me is basically it's more of a sports bar than a pub anyway. But basically, every time I walk past it or I drive past it, and I think to myself, do you know, one of these days I'll go in there and I'll have a drink, and I'm looking at the crowd there, and I'm like, maybe not. They look a bit too rough and tumble for me, to be honest, which is hilarious in itself because I remember when I first moved up here, my mum and her partner were actually helping us move in, and he turns around and he says to my mum, "Right, I'm going to go down the pub," and she's like, "Oh, okay." So they bugger off for a few hours to go down the pub. They come back to me later on. I said, "Oh, it looks, a bit, rough and tumble," and she's like, "Oh, it looks it." She's like, "They're all right in there," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, well, I'll take your word for it." I'm not visiting myself, and I'm thinking, well, actually, with the state of pubs in New Zealand, and how bloody expensive pub drinks are over here, it's better just to go to the bottle store. And it's, in fact, the bottle store's actually closer to me than the bloody pub is. So, because they're on the same street. So,
Yeah.
So when you say to people, "I'm just going down to my local," you mean like your convenience store?
no, I'm going straight to the bottle store and picking up gin. Yeah.
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 And it's not like here where you got to drive an hour away. You could just walk to pretty much everything. I think we've. I don't know if you were around, Rodri. I was having that conversation with Lucas. Like I would actually like willingly give up my cars and stuff if things were like actually in a walking distance. But down here,
Well, that's the thing in
that
America.
doesn't
You
exist.
have to like. That's why the driving test is so much easier, and that the age to drive is younger, because you literally can't go anywhere without a car, because it's so
Literally,
massive and things are
unfortunately.
so spaced out.
Yeah.
You know.
It's
Speaking
the
of which,
same
I
with us
recently
as
got my
well, especially
license.
with the whole. If you live rurally, it's so much more important down here as well. But like if you're living in a city, like I am, then it's not nearly as important because you've got public transport. And one of the things when I first moved here was that I didn't realize how bloody close up the mall was, because we got a mall like basically like 800 meters down the street, and I'm like, Jesus, that's good.
Wow.
Just pop into my local supermarket. I can walk there and back, no issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still drive. Well, I say I drive. The missus drives, but yeah.
You have
Well, I do
personal
enjoy
chauffeur.
driving, but
Nice.
Yeah,
I
that's
do
it.
enjoy
What
driving,
is
but
going
everything
on in
gets-
Joseph's world?
He's not. We're off. We're on a walkabout.
Are we starting the vlog series now? Oh, okay, never mind.
No,
We're starting it now.
On
it was about
that
to be.
note,
Welcome to Japan with gin juice.
on that note, the last note I have here before we wrap up is what do we want to see? So let's cast ourselves into the future. Like, the tournament's done, we've had the final, the person's lifted that trophy, whatever it may look like. And what do we want to see on the channel? Like, what do we want the future of Square to charge?
I thought you were going to ask, who do we want to see lifting the trophy?
Well, we can do that instead, then,
Well, we could do both. Why not?
Okay, so who do we want to win, and then what do we want to see next? There we go. There's the question.
There we
Let's
go.
go first on that one.
Not Gin and Juice because he's muted, but one of you two.
Oh no, he's unmuted now.
Okay.
Also,
Yeah,
he went first on the last question too. So
I'll
go.
Skater.
I'll go first. On.
Yeah. Then I'll mute myself again.
No need for me. I'll go on mute. But yeah, that is a good. Well, I don't know so much about like tournament wise. I mean, obviously, like a heck of a lot more tournaments, because ever since I got to do the treasure tournament with you all. Like every single one's just been a blast. So any more tournaments in any kind of fashion after this is definitely just a A+
and I
for
have
me.
some ideas.
I think I can say this because we talked about it in the TM4 run. There is for sure going to be Connor's going to do a revisit to his 98 speedrun idea after 99. So definitely looking forward to that for sure. And then I was actually kind of thinking about this right now, like talking about all the Toy Story 2 stuff. Like one thing I think would be really cool to see, considering how both me and Kiwi got butts handed to us in Toy Story 2 by both Lucas and Connor. I would love one day to see those two play Toy Story 2 against each other. I think that would be a hell of a match. Like speaking of back and forth, like Jesus, I think that would be really good.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
they will have to, won't they, for the final? Because it's a mandatory, isn't it?
It won't be
Yeah,
just
very
them one though. And
It won't be 1-on-1. Yeah, no, unfortunately
Yeah.
not. But
Yeah.
yeah, but we get a taster of it at least. Yeah.
absolutely.
True, very true. And then in terms of winning, man, I really don't know. I love everyone, so honestly, I mean, I know it seems like a cop out answer, but it really is true. I would honestly just love to see anybody win. I think, in my opinion, everybody deserves it. I'm not gonna lie, I'd like to see myself win, but I don't really see it, and B, just uh, I don't know, just me. I feel like I pretty much feel like this tournament's been so good even before the finals to me that I'm honestly just content with where I am right now. Like it just even getting to the triple charge, even though I lost to get there, like everything's just bonus for me after this. So I would
End of the day, you
honestly
get
just
to do an extra race.
yeah, exactly. Then just it's another chance to just have more fun with another race with more people. But honestly, like I'm perfectly content. If I don't make it out of the triple charge, I'm fine. And if any of us have a chance to win, I'd be stoked because this tournament's already just gone perfectly in terms of games I've gotten to play with you all that I never thought I would. So yeah. So whoever wins, you get my props. You get my happiness.
Nice. Gin juice? Did you hear the question?
Things that I want to.
So it's
the things that I
who do you
want to
want to
see
win
in
and what do you want to see next? Yeah.
Okay. In terms of like who I would want to win, I'm not really too sure to be honest. But like if Kiwi wins like the triple charge, I think that's and the Kiwi Dragon is one of the people who deserves to be able to hold that trophy because like he's just like you know
We're talking about me,
skill,
right?
Yeah.
because like his skill in like speedrunning is just like insane to me. So I was like impressed by how much progress he can get done in like just a small amount of time. So and yeah, he's pretty talented at just speedrunning in general. So I think if anybody deserves one, it'll be like the Kiwi Dragon. But yeah, but yeah, and in terms of like what I like to see in the future on the Square to Charge channel, it's well, I would kind of like to see us try and do like in terms of like racing, maybe like do a tag team sort of race like in the game, like in co-op games, like for
Yeah.
example, 2 versus 2 in Crash Bash, where they go through the story and see which team gets further, like which team
Can I
can
just
be
ask,
outside first.
That would be cool.
with the Crash Bash idea, would you have them be running separate games, like the two teams? So, like each person in that team, would you be having them running separate game? Would you have them run the same game via something like Parsec?
Yes, through Parsec.
I've
They
heard of Parsec. That would
use
be really cool to get that working to play games like that in a tournament would be
it's
That'd be
going
the
to
shit.
open up so many opportunities for us in terms of what we can do for videos as well.
Yeah.
Like, having the competitors on the same, like if it's a racing game, like they're actually doing a race, on the same game, yeah.
Like you don't have to watch two different streams to see how each person's doing. You could just see
Exactly.
in the same game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because essentially the video would be just like if it was a 2v2, but a 1v1, sorry. But you just actually have like a co-op game going on, the two different co-op games. And I think that will be quite an interesting thing to see. But
That would be absolutely legit.
in terms of like something though, like in a different category, like we're going to be starting our extra play series very soon, and after like the first series of where we're going to be playing Spyro 2 and Gateway and the Glimmer, I'm going to go through that 100%. I would say like after that, like we can do like some multiplayer games like Mario Party or whatever, or just go into like some really crazy fun ideas, like going to a game that maybe none of us has any knowledge of at all, or
Sorry.
or like you have like somebody who has a knowledge of this game, but the rest of them do not. Like the first person to play, like really X to play series, we do plan to have like a different person play at every video, every episode, and so it will be interesting to see like somebody chooses a game. Then the first person to play is the person who has the most knowledge of the game, and then he or she talks about it in the first episode, and then you say, "Well, you heard my explanation. You see me play it. Now you have a go." I think that would be quite interesting to see.
That sounds very cool as well. Oh
Yeah.
man, you're right, Bob. There is a lot of good ideas.
Yeah, there's a very bright future ahead, definitely. And
Because I'm already down with all of these, and I'm sure there's probably more.
yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like there will be future tournaments and stuff like that, but there'll be stuff I think other than racing that I think will really help just make us a more diverse channel in terms of the content and the stuff we do. Really emphasize the community spirit of it all. Yeah. And yourself, Kiwi?
For sure.
Right. Well, hang on. We're gonna need to buckle in for a minute because I've got a few things. So we might be here a minute. Right. So first of all,
okay.
It's fine with me. I got my fresh water.
1:25 in the morning for me. Yeah, here we are. No, so basically there was a couple of things that I already mentioned that I thought were really cool. So like the 98, I think some Skatey said that Connor was bringing that back. I think 98 would be a really cool one. I think 2000 would be an interesting one to do as well. I like that tag team bit. And in fact, I had the idea of that the other day, but I wasn't sure how well I could, we could try and work that in. But with Crash Bash, that could actually work pretty well. I'd like there to be more stuff on the channel, which, as you say, is not racing. So, like, I think it could be interesting for those of us who have access to like Crash Team Rumble to, have like, because I know I've got it. I know I think Fisher's got it. I think Marcus has got it. I think it could be interesting.
I haven't picked it up yet. No.
Okay.
Oh, well, whoever's got it at the time, get on that. Whoever's got it at the time, we could, either team up, 4 of us, or have like a private lobby if there's 8 of us, if we can manage to fit together 8 of us to do a private lobby, session. Because I think that could be quite interesting. In
Darian
terms
would be
of
down for sure. His ears are practically ringing about this as we speak. Crash Bash.
If we can like make up a team name, and if we can create team names in Crash Team Rumble, then we should just like name it the Square to Charge team.
On the arcade,
you can't name them in the game, but I'm sure you can probably come up with one just externally.
I was gonna say on the awesome arcade battle video that me and my mate Chris made. When I kept saying to the camera, "Me and my Square to Charge entourage," I kept messing up and saying, "Me and my Square to Raj." So
Square to Raj.
Yeah, I'm just thinking
Square to
Square to
Raj.
Raj. Let's make my
Square to
blue.
How do
Raj.
you Raj?
Yeah,
How do you
Just
Raj?
makes me
Press
feel better
square
about
to
messing up.
Raj Kusrapali from Big Bang Theory. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. If we could have
but in
like,
terms of
yeah, go on. Sorry.
oh no, go on. You
I was just
finish
gonna
it.
sorry. If we could have a picture of Raj, but like with the Square to Charge logo, sort of superimposed in the shape of his head or something.
Santa's gonna hate when he gets this
He's
video.
gonna hate editing this. He's gonna
How many
absolutely
things are you
fucking hate us.
demanding of me? Am I your,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think what other stuff I
your
had in
servant?
mind. So, like, one of the things that I thought of the other day, and I don't know how well it would go over, but it you know, because there was two things that came up for me. One of them's not so much of a tournament, but it sort of is. Okay, it sounds weird when I phrase it like that. So I thought, what if we had a big kind of yearly sort of event? Just, basically like a Square to Charge kind of like Super Bowl, or I know some people are going to hate me for referencing this, but like a supercharged version of WrestleMania kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like that one big thing where you get like everybody who wants to have like a match with somebody, they can turn around and be like, right, I want to face you in, I don't know, Crash Twinsanity. And then you got somebody over here who's like, I want to face you in Twisted Metal 3. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Twisted Metal
Yeah.
3?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Is that the one that's World Tour? Is that 2?
Yeah.
Oh, War Tour is the good. Is 2. That's a good one.
It's sort
Okay,
of like
no, that's
you
right.
issue a challenge and the person picks up it and-
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought that could be an interesting thing. I did have a tournament idea, but I don't know how well it would work because it would probably need Parsec. So that might be an interesting one, and I don't know if there'd be interest in it, but it was something I was going to suggest, which is it's not racing, and that was something that was really appealing to me in the concept of it. And it might interest you, Rodri, and it might interest even more so Chris, because it would be Robot Wars.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, because I have got on my computer, I can either get access to the last Robot Wars game or the one before that, Arenas, and basically just have people build their own robots and just have them scrap each other and see who can actually build the
man.
best robot. Because I thought that would be brilliant. Because it's not racing; it would just be a bit of fun.
I even
Yeah.
have in my
Robot
head
War
like the
game.
Robot Wars
What?
intro and maybe like the BBC Two ident, but like the Square to
Yeah.
Charge logo instead, and like that.
I thought to myself, shit,
Ah.
that could actually work
Yeah.
really well.
Man,
I'm mind blown on this myself. I didn't know there were
Definitely
Robot War games. Holy shit.
yeah,
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So I think we could probably do that.
I mean,
and then
like,
Mm.
adding on to that idea, just real quick, is like, I know that there's a new Lego racing game, and with that
2K
idea in
Drive.
mind, yeah, 2K Drive, yeah. And even though it is a racing game, though, I don't know if there's a battle mode or anything, but if there's something like that, like you could just
I
like
always
do the
saw it
same
as-
thing where
I always saw
you
it
could
as
just
more
like build your own car
a Lego
and
version
then
of
see
Grand
when
Theft
that
Auto.
makes the best car or something.
Yeah.
So,
It's, to me, when looking at the footage of that game, it looks more like a Lego version of God, what's it called? Sonic and Sega All Stars Racing Transformed, with the different vehicles. So you got land, sea, and air kind of thing. Is what it looks
okay.
like.
yeah.
So yeah,
But there's a
yeah,
wider
so that's-
breadth of vehicles than Lego races at any rate. Like,
yeah. Plus, it's got real world cars and everything, so it's a bit more in depth than Sonic and
yeah,
his Sega pals.
nice.
And that fact that they included Wreck-It Ralph in there for some reason at one point.
Mm.
I think there was a YouTuber in there as well. I want to say it was Smosh, but I'm probably wrong.
Yeah.
Was it
I think
Mike?
it.
Like,
I think
God
it
knows.
was something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
I know
it
there's
was
Banjo
2014. Who remembers
Yeah.
that far back? But yeah, in terms of the tournaments, that's the sort of things I had in mind. In the more immediate future, I did have a thought about what if, especially with 99 coming to a close, we've got the triple charge to determine who's the fourth person in the final, and then you got the final itself. What if we did a I don't want to call it an awards ceremony, but I suppose in a sense it is kind of an award. So basically, the people can vote on who they think had like the best performances, who they thought was the most helpful, who they thought did the best commentary, that kind of thing, and just just
Oh.
you know, not
A
publicly
lot of
vote, but like
trophies for
just
your wife
privately.
to make skater.
If we did,
more awards, more trophies coming up.
But
if
yeah,
we
I just
did,
thought that could be an
Yeah.
interesting sort of thing.
if we did do something like that, like that could work with the idea I had for the circle button initially, like which was like circle to choose. So you would
Could
like
work,
have
yeah.
these, like you would have these different categories, and then we'll
Yeah.
ask the people in the comments, okay, which person do you think deserves this acknowledgement?
Yeah.
Like, I'll see if I
Like-
can hammer that out a bit more.
Yeah.
And especially the Robot Wars idea. Oh, and actually, sorry, one more thing that I totally forgot, and also as well as that Super Bowl WrestleMania kind of dream match, kind of pick your own opponent kind of thing. The one thing that we talked about this before, and I really think it could be a fascinating one, but we need to get more people into it. Is I think the really cool one would be I don't know if we had a name for it before, but you said about like newbies being coached by the more veteran
gonna
and
be
more
my
experienced
answer.
players.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Sorry.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah, go for it. As
I
long
was
as
just thinking, but I was thinking about it because I was thinking, what if to expand on that, they didn't just have the veterans like just coaching as well, like have the veterans there competing maybe? Because I was watching, oh God, what's that show? My partner's obsessed with it. Ink Master. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ink Master.
No, I can't say.
Basically, they have a similar sort of season where it's like Master and Apprentice. They come in and they compete against each other, as well as a whole bunch of other like Master and
Oh.
Apprentices.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Thought that could be an interesting concept, but yeah.
That would be cool.
But yeah, aside from those ideas that really probably need a bit more hammering out, in terms of predictions for like the rest of the tournament and who will win.
Oh yeah,
it's
there's a
good
tournament
question.
going on.
Yeah, there's a tournament going on. We're not just hammering out ideas and doing
But,
marketing. What are we on about?
Yeah, this is just a
that
Square's
personally-
charge admins meeting at this point.
Yes, yeah. All the
That
admins and all the
personally-
folks who do the
Oh.
Twitter stuff. Yeah.
I thought this was an AA
personally, for
meeting.
me,
An AA
Right.
meeting. Shit, I'm drinking the wrong stuff then.
the first minute we did say it was like an AA meeting.
Yeah, why am I,
but to
wasting my time on Pepsi? Like,
Yeah, I got gin in my fridge. Why am I wasting my time on Gatorade?
Yeah.
To be
Well,
fair, it's nice
speaking of-
Gatorade. It's great.
Oh.
I got my drink.
a drunk
Speaking of, I need
podcast would
another
be called.
Pepsi.
Yeah, go on.
I actually used up my Pepsi. I need to go get another one. But yeah, no, I actually very much agree with that, Kiwi. That would be a very interesting part, because I kind of feel that a real good way to learn is through competition. So if you could
Mhm.
have like a master and apprentice like facing off to slowly but surely see the apprentice like get better and catch up to the veteran.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's why I personally enjoy like joining so many of these tournaments, is because I'm just too lazy, lack of a better term.
Yeah. Is it
to
bad that
really,
when you
like-
said Master and Apprentice, my first thought was, but who would have the high ground?
Oh right, Star.
I thought you were going to say about when you said Master and Apprentice. I thought you were going to say,
love you.
was the first thought the Yu-Gi-Oh card Master and Apprentice, and I'm like, oh, but no,
Oh.
actually, that's a good reference. Star Wars, yeah.
Yeah.
That would be the finale
Yu-Gi-Oh one as
for,
well.
that would be the finale for a veteran
Yeah,
and their apprentices. They have to winner takes all match at the end.
absolutely.
Winner takes all. Yu-Gi-Oh! Jewel of the Roses, right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'd
yeah,
be
no,
down
like
for that.
I personally feel like that's why I enter like so many like tournaments and stuff, because I just in my off time I find myself never really like either having time or drive or motivation or anything to really like practice a lot of this stuff in my off time.
Yeah.
It literally like for me comes all from tournaments and competitions, and that's how I keep driving myself to get better. And it seems to work slowly but surely. So
Yeah.
so I think that would be a very good idea, because yeah, competition it seems to work. Obviously friendly competition, you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course, yeah.
But like man, like for example, I can't tell you how much better I've gotten at Spyro 1 Bingo over the past like half a year, just hugely just thanks to just Muddy. Like people like Muddy and
Big
Joe,
ups.
Dr. Muddy. Yeah, because they constantly play me in that all the time. And I've actually gotten to the point where I feel like somewhat like competent with it. Where before I felt completely useless with bingo because it was just so much for me to try and balance playing and thinking of all that stuff at the same time. I'm like, who can even do this? But thankfully now, after being exposed to it for months and months, I'm finally like, okay, I think I'm getting the hang of it now.
Yeah, sure. Nice.
So finally.
I was just going to say before we pass it on to you for your because we didn't actually get to the tournament stuff that I wanted to because we spent so long talking about stuff that I want conceptually. In terms of predictions. I don't actually know. So who's in the square supercharged with me? It's
everyone in this call apart from me.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And I presume we haven't discussed the game yet, have we?
Connor has discussed the game. He said it in the Triple Charge channel in his Discord server, and it's going to be Bugs Bunny Lost in Time. And
is it predetermined for us?
Yes, Connor has picked the game because Bugs Bunny Lost in Time was the game in the previous semi-final, so he thought that it should be that game.
I'll say this, and I don't want this to be taken as a negative too much, but the one thing that I'm not really vibing with towards the end is the kind of mandatory kind of games. I think I love the early parts of the tournament where we've had these abilities to bring out these obscure games, like we had Kingsley's, we had Pokemon Yellow, which I don't think would necessarily have been brought out. We had Pokemon Snap as well, which actually lets the less said
Elmo's Lesser Journey.
Elmo's Lesser Journey, Elmo's Number Adventure, all Pepsi Man, all this obscure shit. And then of course, and I'm not trying to point it as a negative, but at the same time, it feels quite restrictive at the end to have just these 3 games, because I'd love to have it be a final where it's like the most batshit random crazy obscure game, and I think I don't know what the rules will be moving forward, but I'd like to see that possibly changed, maybe. I don't know, but that's something to talk about in the future. But in terms
absolutely.
of
Crash Bash tournament.
In terms of the future, the future in terms of this tournament, for the prediction in terms of who's going to win, shit, I don't know. It's literally anybody's game. That's the thing, because I mean, I could go the egotistical route and say, I'd love to win. I mean, to be honest, but the fact of the matter is, I didn't expect to make it past round 1, to be honest. So the fact that I'm here in round 3, to me, is
you won all your races.
Nuts. Oh yeah. I didn't even expect to do that. I thought that was nuts that I'd done that.
How do you think I feel?
So to be here, for me, it feels like a bit like I feel like I've what's the word I'm looking for? I feel like a bit of a con man, really.
Oh, okay.
Well, well, it's a good feeling. Like, died and gone to heaven, but at the same time, it feels like a con man's not right. Fraud. It feels like it's slightly fraudish to be here from a certain standpoint.
Nice.
When there's other people who arguably are potentially more speed run. What's the word I'm oriented?
But
that could be here.
That's the beauty of it, because I think with other channels in the past and everything, because of like the limitation of doing a Crash Bandicoot sport tournament or a Spyro tournament or whatever, there's kind of the sense that only 3 or 4 people tend to get the top places every single time, and I think it's more interesting doing a tournament where you can play any sort of game. And
I had noticed that in the last one that you guys were in. I was just like, it's the same people each time. And to me, and I obviously now looking back on it, I thought to myself before I entered it, I was thinking to myself, maybe these guys are just really kind of, don't take this the wrong way, but like really kind of hardcore kind of sweats at the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was thinking, nobody else gets a look in kind of thing. And to me, there was a little bit of that sort of thing, like, should I really compete? I'm not going to really be able to hold my own. But the fact that we've got all these games now that you can turn around, and that's what I liked about the early rounds. And what I'm unfortunately a little bit was concerned. If I made it this far, would be like, I like Toy Story 2, I like Spyro, I've never played Bugs Bunny Lost in Time in my entire bloody life, so I'm going to have to, unfortunately, practice it because I've never touched the bloody thing.
Of course.
And I hate I hate the notion of practicing before a race, but the fact of the matter is I've never touched it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to go bust that out, which is, going to be interesting.
I've played it a couple times. I still don't have much of a clue. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
So if you lads want to go have a play of it as well, I've got nothing against you for that because I know shit all about the game. I wrote YouTube descriptions for whenever people were doing the videos for it, and I'm just thinking, Christ, what can I write here? Because I've never played this game. It's something about carrots, and I went on Google. Can you collect carrots in Bugs Bunny Lost in Time? You can. Okay, cool, right.
That makes sense.
I made it sound like I knew what I was talking about, right? And I'm just like, in reality, I'm sitting there like, no idea what this game is. Never bloody played it.
Just fake it till you make it.
Exactly. Yeah. Just talk shit out of your ass and something will stick in the end. Yeah. In terms of who'll win, no idea. Would love it to be me, but the reality is, it's joking egotism aside, probably not. I don't even know if I'm going to make it to the final. It would be brilliant if I did. That would be the bit, like I said to myself, right, I'd be happy if I made it past the heat stage. I made it past the heat stage. Obviously didn't do round 2, so technically I made it past round 2. Would be happy now if I made it past the quarterfinals. Yeah, would be happy if I made it to the bloody. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, man, stop changing the goalposts. You just keep moving them every 5 fucking minutes.
Yeah,
Honestly, I would be I'd be 1,000% fine with the fact of either of you all winning the triple charge and moving on to be in your all's first final, because I've been in finals. So I think you all should be in the final more than me.
Well, sadly, only one of us can go into the final.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna kind of wing it in the triple charge and just see how it goes. As it is, you already got a unknowing advantage on me in the fact that all the Bugs Bunny games have never been kind to me. So
I think the only Looney Tunes game I've ever played was like bloody Looney Tunes Space Race. Oh no, I played Back in Action.
Yeah.
And Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle 3. Cool. Yeah, there you go.
So as long as the tradition continues, then I'll get to see one of you all go to the finals, and that'll be good with me.
Last point, Gin and Juice. Then I'm afraid we're gonna have to wrap up.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we've gone on for nearly 90 minutes. Well done, guys.
Just like for me, like in terms of Bugs Bunny, I had played it like as a kid, but I only just like played it once again only recently, and that was my race against Santa Fanta the first time. And I had practiced that game quite a bit before I actually did that race. We should probably explain why I did it too quickly. But yeah. For me, it depends on the goal. Honestly, like I never got past the 1930s when I was a kid, and that was
we've got a game set for us, but not the goal yet.
Yeah,
he had no goal yet.
Right.
But yeah,
are we supposed to determine the goal, or is he going to determine the goal for us as well?
He says, like, if you have any ideas, then please feel free to share.
I've never played the game, so I haven't got a bloody clue.
I've got 0 ideas. Whatever's the less painful.
Only thing I can think of is collecting the most carrots or golden carrots, collecting the most clocks, and beating a certain boss, or just getting as far as possible.
I think for me, with any game that hasn't been what was it, Spyro or Toy Story, I haven't had a bloody clue what we were doing in terms of goals. In fact, it was funny because with Ape Escape, because I never really played it, and because Danta had never really played it, we had to turn around and go, has anybody got any ideas for goals for Ape Escape? And Crystal Fisher comes along, and he's just like, oh, just get the coloured monkeys. And I'm like, coloured monkeys.
Oh, yes, I remember this exchange.
I researched this because I was like, oh, what do coloured monkeys look like? Because I want to make sure, I knew what they were. And I was just like, and I was reading, it's like, coloured monkeys are in Ape Escape 2. And I'm like, hang on a minute, we're playing Ape Escape 1, right?
I thought you were playing Ape Escape 2, so that's my bad.
Yeah.
Nice.
But no, so it'd be interesting to see, if this would be the second time to have a goal that's not, suggested by one of us then, potentially.
Yeah.
So it could be interesting. But yeah.
To be honest, it'd probably be fairer, honestly, if one person who isn't racing sets the goal.
Yeah.
Anyway,
because I know you've got goals for
would
it, but
love
yeah, it's
to
probably
continue the
yeah.
chat further, but it is 90
Yeah.
minutes now.
Yeah.
I think we've hit
We
the
should
threshold.
probably let you have your
Exactly.
No, go on. Let you have your little.
I'll
moment,
have my
and then
little
we'll wrap
moment.
it up. Yeah.
In terms of things
Yes.
we want to see, Joseph and I have a really fun tournament planned for the autumn, so look out for that one. We'll announce it in due course.
Is it? Can I ask a quick question? Is it
Yeah.
the one that begins with Q?
Yes. Yes.
Right. Might be able to do that one. Might be
It's
able
the
to
question tournament.
Well, I was going to say Avenue
The
Q,
question
but
tournament. Yeah.
okay. In terms
Which
of
button looks like a question mark on the controller?
in terms of person I want to see win, I'll knock out the boring route and say, oh yes, everyone deserves to win. You're all amazing, but I'm a fan of an underdog, and I love the idea of the one person who doesn't pride themselves on being a speedrunner. Continually says that they're not a speedrunner. Jinin Juice. I like the idea of him winning a speedrunning tournament. I think that would just be so perfect and so on brand for what this channel's been, what this tournament's been. Yeah, exactly.
I agree with that for sure.
So win this one for Gun and Glory. Yeah, those are my answers anyway. In terms of everything else I want to see, you guys have covered it quite extensively. And I'm just happy to see, because I've encouraged since day one, let's think outside the box. Let's think, what really haven't we seen before, and let's push that forward. Let's make that the future. And yeah,
we've certainly tried to think outside the box. I mean, it was quite funny when I said the last idea I came up with, or at least I thought I came up with it, was that Annihilator thing. The one where it's like eliminate a person each round sort of thing, and then you turn around to me to say, actually, square to charge is, kind of already done that already, but yeah. Oh, actually, sorry, I just remember one last one. I'm so sorry for this.
One last one, then we'll wrap.
We saw recently a crossover with, I think it was not STC, with
the
Christ,
Collisions.
ISGP and Collisions. Yeah.
Yes.
I would like to see. I don't know how well it would work, because I feel like there are some of us who aren't in ISGP. We could cross over with either ISGP or with Collisions. I don't know how the semantics of that would work, because there are people who are in both, so it depends how would you determine the allegiances of that. But yeah, that was something that I thought about when the Collisions live stream was on with the crash stuff.
Sounds like
I was watching that and I thought, that could be interesting. Yeah.
Well, I'd imagine for the sake of that video, it would just be someone would represent this team, someone would represent that team. But in reality, we're part of both. But just for the sake of the video, it will be.
It's all a bit WWF 2001. Who's on this side of the alliance?
I mean, you take cricket, for example, when they put together the national team. Like, some of the players aren't even from England. They just grab the best players they have. So.
Oh yeah, it's like when you watch rugby and you see the Japanese team.
Yeah, exactly.
Filled with blokes who are from England, who've come from New Zealand, come from Australia, and it's just like there's a couple of Japanese players, and they look really happy to be there. And you've got the really determined Englishman who sat there like, I should have been on the England team, but here we are.
Well, exactly. There we go.
Yeah.
Here I am, just thinking, I should be doing the Collision podcast right now, but here I am. Stuck with you. No, I'm kidding. But
was there actually a Collision podcast for you to do?
No, I made it up. But you know what? I've given them an idea. So guys, you're welcome.
You have.
There you go.
And on that cheery note, it is time to say goodbye. I think we'll finish as we started. So, let's say the time. Currently for me it is 2:51 p.m. in England.
Currently for me it is 10:51 p.m. in Japan.
Nice.
Kiwi.
Currently for me it is 9 minutes to 2 a.m. in the bloody morning in New Zealand. I'm sure my neighbour is going to love me recording this.
And for me, it is almost 9 in the morning. Still too damn early.
Nice. Thank you for watching, everyone.
See your
Cheers,
text.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
You can't see it, but
Be
Skater's
be
waving as well.
square.
They can't see us, but whatever.
I can see you.
Well, they can see us. We can't see them. Whatever.